Okay, so welcome to challenge 3. I hope you're doing well with the first two. This one is called slab building, and you've already had a go at joining pieces of clay for your first project. This one is three-dimensional slab building. And what you're going to do, as you can see in front of me, is you're going to build an object. And I'm not going to tell you which shape you have to make. I could give you a difficult task like making a teapot, or a simple task like making a box, but I think everyone will decide on how they're going to do it. I'm going to show you the technique. So first of all, you need some paper and a pencil, and you need to come up with some ideas. So here's a simple idea, a circular pot with a wall around it. For doing this one, your clay needs to be a little bit soft. Here's a slightly squarer one at a box, which has a divider in it, and you can put food in, crisps and dips or whatever in here. And here's a teapot, and you can go online and you'll see loads of ideas. Here's a book which I often use to teach from. Here's a couple of ideas. Over here, there's a butter dish, and a butter dish is a nice, simple project. It's got an upside-down box sitting in a tray. Over here is what looks really complicated. It's a complicated shape, but actually it's quite straightforward, because what you've got is a shape on the front, you've got a copy of that shape on the back, and then in between the two you've just got a strip of clay which goes round. So you're going to first of all have your ideas on paper. Don't worry about beautiful drawings. And then you're going to roll a slab, as you did in the first project, and you need a reasonable sized slab. Here we have the clay that I used. Now, you're going to get 2 kilograms of clay for this project. Keep a piece of it aside. Not a huge amount, maybe a handful, and keep that wrapped up. It's got to be soft. The rest of it you can roll out into your slab. So here's my slab, and what you're going to do once you've made your design is you're going to draw the pieces on the slab. And you need for that a ruler, and ideally, if you can get hold of it, a set square. If you can't get a set square, as I said before, find a nice straight cornered piece of wood or box or something like that. So I'll just show you how I've done this one. This one is actually to make a tall vase which comes in slopes inwards. And as you can see, I've cut this one out. That's the side of the vase. It slopes towards the top. So obviously the bottom, which in this one is 8 centimeters, you need a square 8 centimeters for the base. And just to show you, you can cut by making 2 parallel lines. You can cut your pieces 2 one way up and 2 the other way up. So you use your clay in the maximum way. You don't need any spaces between the pieces. So the edge of one piece is the edge of the next piece. And just for those who are thinking of doing a shape like this, just a little tip. In order to make sure that the angle is the same on both sides, if you measure 8 centimeters along the bottom, you measure half of that, 4 centimeters, and then using your set square, you draw a vertical line. And at the top, you measure half and half the other side. So this is 3 and 3. And then you draw from the 4 to the 3, the 4 to the 3, and that's your first one. And the next one, you measure 8 along the top and 6 along the bottom, and you draw that line. So you know then those are the same shape. Okay, it does take a bit of playing around. The main thing about slab building is take your time, measure carefully, draw first and don't cut. I'll say that one more time. Draw first, don't cut. When you have it all drawn out, then start cutting. When you want to cut, use the ruler, lay it on the edge of the piece you're going to cut, and use your knife along the edge of the ruler. Don't try and do it freehand. Okay, now when we come to joining a piece, if it's a square piece like this, then all the corners and all the walls are at right angles to each other, so you don't need to worry about trimming them. But if you're doing a piece like this, which slopes, it's going to slope inwards on the 4 sides, then you need to do what's called beveling. And I'm just going to show you how to do that. Do not be scared of it. It's a very straightforward process. On the sides which are sloping, so in this case the 4 sides are going to come up against each other, you need to bevel. You take your ruler, you lay it back from the edge of the clay, about ½ centimeter. You take your knife and you run that along the edge at an angle like that. And I'm taking off a diagonal like that, okay? And then when you look at that, it looks like 45 degrees. And when you do the next one, it'll join at 45 degrees to the first one. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to join the pieces and how to stick them together. So this is the cutting stage. What I would do is I would cut your pieces, put them all together and wrap them up in plastic and keep them in the plastic while you're waiting to carry on with your piece. A couple of other tips. If you want holes in the wall of your piece, let's say you're going to make something like this, which is a tea light hole, or tea light, you have holes in the wall, then cut the holes before you join the pieces, okay? And the other thing you'll notice about these holes is they don't have sharp corners, so when you get to the edge of the hole, make sure it's a little bit rounded. The problem is if you have a sharp point on the end of a hole, it will turn into a crack in the piece. There's lots of other things about slab building. The clay can warp, and I'm just going to show you on this nice house here that if you don't put in the right structure, then this is what will happen. Look at that clay there, you see it's bending. That's because at high temperatures the clay warps. And the sort of thing you have to do to stop that happening is what's being done here with the roof. Extra pieces of clay inside to hold the piece in shape. So you're going to have to work that out. It's quite a process, but you will work it out. And in this case, it's a lovely piece. It has a curve in these walls, and because curved walls don't warp, that's very strong. On the front, which is a flat wall, the person who made this put an extra piece on the front, which looks good. It's like an arch, and that also holds the wall in shape. So when you're thinking about your piece, make sure you've got plenty of structural design in it. And I'm going to have to